Hi everyone, welcome back to this week's Artful Hours. This week we're going to be making shapes a lot. So we'll go ahead and get started by talking about what materials we're going to need for this craft. The first thing you're going to want to grab is some colored paper. If you don't have colored paper at home, it's really not a big deal. You can make your own by just coloring on a white sheet or even finding different alternatives around your house like magazines or even newspapers. You will also need some glue. The glue we have here is both like the regular liquid glue as well as glue sticks. Either work perfectly fine. You'll also need some scissors, and if you're a little bit younger, you'll definitely want to enlist mom and dad's help to help cut things out. You'll also need a couple of things to draw with. So whether it be markers, crayons, pencils, anything like that, you can kind of create different backgrounds, different faces for your characters. And then finally, we do have some fun things like googly eyes that you can add on to some of your creatures as well. So getting started, you need a couple of different things before you can really get to making any of your creatures. The first one being a piece of background paper. So today I'm using black, but you can really use any color that you want to. And then you'll also want to have some shapes already pre-cut. So for me, I'm using purple today just because it's my favorite color. And I've cut out some squares, some triangles, and also some rectangles. But you can really cut out any types of shapes. So if you want to have kind of a geometric shape, you can also have those organic shapes like circles, maybe some ovals, really tons of different options for you. It is easier to have them all cut out before you get started. That way you'll have a few different things to work with and you're not having to figure it out while you're pasting. So today I'm actually going to be making a lion. So if you want to follow along, you can also make a lion, or you can really make any animal that you think of. So if you have pets at home, you can recreate them. If you're super into dinosaurs or anything like that, really any animal is going to be fun to make. So getting started, I like to lay out my animal first. So I'm going to be using a square for my lion's head, but like I said earlier, you can really use anything. And for his mane, I'm going to be using different triangles. So not all of your shapes have to be the same size or really even the same type of triangle. So keep that in mind when cutting these out. To create the mane, I'm just going to lay out these triangles around the lion's head. And you'll want to keep them going around his face to create a mane. So as you can see here, we have his face and then a few different face framing triangles for that mane. And then as you kind of start finding your way, I'm gonna be done with his face right now, so I can go ahead and glue all of this down. So I'm gonna be using a glue stick. And remember that a little bit of glue goes a very long way. So I like to just do the borders and then glue that down. And then for the triangles, I'm going to just glue the bottom part. That way the top part can kind of stick out like a mane would. So it's a little bit 3D. Keep in mind that they don't have to all be the same size triangle. So you'll see that I'm using quite a few big ones, but you're also welcome to add in some smaller ones to give it some dimension. Now moving on to his body, I'm going to use another set of squares, but I am going to trim these down as I go. So if you find out that there's something you don't really like about some of your shapes, you're always welcome to trim it down, make it a new shape. Sometimes you'll get going and realize you don't have something that you really want, so it's really easy to kind of add those things in and create them as you're going along. So after I lay out the outline for his body, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing it down. Mom and Dad, if you do want to have a little helping hand in all of this, you're always welcome to outline maybe an animal shape or kind of give some guidelines as to what they might look like. It helps a little bit more for our younger ones. So after building his body, I'm going to go ahead and add in some legs. My lion is sitting down, so you're really just going to see the front legs here. And remember that not everything has to be perfectly matching. So if his legs are a little bit different size, it's not that big of a deal. See, my lion has 2 different sized legs. And then the last thing I'm gonna add to his body is a tail. So it doesn't really look like I have what I'm thinking should be his tail. So what I'm gonna do is take one of my little rectangles that I cut out and make it into a really thin triangle. And then from there, I'm going to use one of the triangles that I do have pre-cut to kind of be the little fluffy piece at the end of his tail. And I will go ahead and glue that. So now that my lion's body is done, I'm gonna add a face to him. I've decided to go for some googly eyes for his eyes, but then the rest of his face is gonna be drawn on. You can really take full liberty here. You can make your lions happy or sad or whatever kind of animal you're making. Give them some character, give them something interesting about them. One really cool thing to do would be to create your animal that you're gonna make and then give him a name, a backstory, maybe go ahead and add on to the paper the habitat that they live in. That could be really cool. Really get creative with it. There's tons of different options you can do. Safari animals, underwater animals, so really the options are endless. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is add on his nose, some whiskers, and a smile. This is my lion, Carl. Carl is actually from the savannah, and he's an archaeologist. An archaeologist is somebody who digs up important artifacts all across the world. Can you be an archaeologist in your own home today? Thank you so much for participating in this week's Artful Hour. I look forward to seeing all of you again next time. Bye.